All right, we are back in the studio.
Hello,
Ryan,
everyone.
awesome to have you once again. You brought our last harvest of leaks.
Yes, and I did lie in the last video. I did move from that chair. Now I'm in this chair and you're in that chair.
Yeah, we saw.
But as you said, it is the final season of the leaks for this expansion.
Yes, Harvest of Sorrow is coming to its end or to its beginning because we're launching tomorrow. So I think it's a fresh beginning, but the leak season is coming to an end.
The end of the begin. Yeah. You get the.
I mean, it's fall. Like we're done. We're done with the leaks. We're moving on to the launch itself.
Yeah, and we got a lot of topics to cover today, so we don't want to let people wait too long. That's why.
Wait, there's more.
But that's why we're gonna tackle the final 3 reveals first at the beginning, us two. So if you're just here for the leaks, for the reveals, however you want to call them, you will get those first. And after that, we've got a few more topics, right?
Yes, there's you and Jean, our game designer, coming in and talking about the changes coming with this update, because it's not only about new cards, but we're also going to be adjusting existing cards and archetypes. So you guys will cover that for sure. You will also see the majority of these changes in the patch notes, which are probably going to launch today, if I'm not mistaken. And you guys are also going to talk about some bigger changes to the spying status.
Yes, there's also a few changes to the keyword, and that's why Jean is here, because he is the mastermind behind those. And we've got I think 3 big changes that we want to tackle. Obviously, there's more changes coming with the update tomorrow, but those 3, trust me, those are going to be very, very interesting, and I think people will love to have our opinion on those changes, specifically just hear what they are all about, and we're going to get into that after we're done here. But after we talk about those, I think you'll be back with Vlad?
I will be here with Vlad, and we will be talking about what we learned from Price of Power, from the whole set.
What did we learn?
Oh, you have to wait and see. We learned a lot, for sure, and we also want to talk about what we want to do for the rest of this year, so up till the end of December. So we'll be talking about that. And also maybe a little glimpse into the future in terms of what our plans are when we want to communicate stuff. So yeah, don't miss that segment.
Awesome. So I think the final glimpse into the future of this reveal campaign, I think we should get right into it.
Yeah, we should start.
The final 3 reveals of a very exciting set, because it's the conclusion of the whole Price of Power.
So it's 2 NR cards, 1 neutral?
Yes, exactly.
Perfect.
Do you want to start with the neutral?
Yeah, let's go.
Get right
straight into it.
So
we have Alyssa
Henson.
Henson, exactly. She is the journey narrator, if I remember correctly.
True.
Oh,
very true.
Yeah. Also a mage.
Also a mage.
Deploy. Shuffle a special card from your graveyard to your deck. If it was a bronze, also shuffle 1 additional copy of that special. So you get, if it's a bronze, you get 2.
You get 2.
Ah, nice.
So that means you can shuffle back 2 bronzes back into your deck and maybe play them with a card that plays all specials, aka Simless, perhaps?
Yeah, that would totally work, because she's neutral, right?
She is neutral.
Perfect.
You could also, I guess, play another very high costly gold special, but
nice.
I think players will be better at finding the optimal ways to utilize this card, but still very excited for this. Also, the artwork's pretty cool, tells another part of the story.
Crazy.
And yeah, as I said, an epic, you can play 1 of it in your deck. It is a mage, if you want to combine it in your mage archetype, and kind of the revenge story of the mages here in this Price of Power set with the Hale family and everything. But yeah, I think we're not here to talk about the lore.
Although it's super interesting.
Although it is
Trust
very
me,
interesting.
I really like the story behind everything. So
I love actually how people have been figuring out, like during the reveal campaign, oh, this is that character,
Yeah.
and they're related to another, and
they're
this
connecting
is
the dots. Yeah,
Yes.
and it's really cool because when we're having these drops and you connect the whole thing, they totally, you get the big picture of the whole thing.
The
which
biggest
is amazing.
picture, yeah.
The biggest picture of all. All right, so
Awesome.
that's the first one. Moving on to Northern Realms, we have Alumini.
Well, I'm excited about this card. What does it do, Boże?
It's a human mage. On deploy, if both values are equal or higher than 4, gain Zeal. Order, melee, damage an enemy unit by a number. Order, range, boost an allied unit by a number. Here is 0. Values correspond to the highest patience achieved by your banned art student or higher to the student cards. That is a mouthful of a tooltip.
Yes, that is a very big tooltip. But I think it explains the card very well because it is basically the evolution of our students from either Bernard or Aretusa. And so if you manage to have a Bernard student in the melee row grow to perhaps 5 damage actually, through his patience, then this Alumni will also do 5 damage. So it's basically, you know, the students have grown up, they've gotten their final year of school behind them, and now they are ready to either graduate and deal either a lot of damage or boost a lot. And I think it's a very good finisher for this archetype. And
that's really cool.
You can play 2 of them as well because it's a bronze card, right?
And I really like the flavor from going from a student to alumni. So you're finishing school and you're being all grown up and becoming more powerful. That's really cool. Yeah,
and also your impact after you've graduated is only as big as what you've learned in the past, right?
Exactly. Awesome card, really cool artwork, and I really like how it's connected to the previous cards that we show.
Yeah, and you can't really limit yourself to only one of them, because if you want to gain that zeal, which is pretty important for these big finishers, where your opponent shouldn't have the opportunity to, you know, stop you, then you need to focus on both. You need to have a student of the Bernard, or you have to have an Aretusa student that both have 4 patience at least to gain that zeal. So you gotta think a bit ahead of times, maybe do one in the first round, maybe one in the second, but obviously it's all up to you. Also pretty interesting is that with the mage archetype, you can combine it in ways where maybe you can also spawn one of these with the, what's it called, the rune word? The special card that creates a mage, and you gain a shield as well, so it's even harder to interrupt it.
Oh. Awesome stuff.
One more.
There's one more. Yeah, so we have Chapter of Wizards. This card has resilience, deploy, spawn and play rune word.
There it is.
Oh, see, we just talked about it. Order, spawn a base copy of the last played allied bronze mage on this row.
Ooh.
Okay.
A location.
So
we didn't see that except for the neutral location at the start.
High on provision also.
Very high.
Wow.
Always excited about those cards. And
but a really good one.
Yes. So first of all, because of its location key, you have the resilience, so you can keep it on the board for another round. You can use the order in a later round as well. So kind of a carryover card in that sense. And I just love that the game designers decided to give separate factions different kind of cards in this sense. Maybe all factions did get a bonded card, but for example, Skirtel got a devotion card, and here Northern Realms gets a location card, which is awesome. And maybe something that we hinted at before, it plays very nicely with the mages, because you can play another mage, like 2 mages in one turn, so even if you don't get the zeal, you have 2 targets now for your opponent to deal with.
Really cool.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, also it can be targeted by, what's the name?
Dvimavendra, yeah.
Yeah, and just reset that order and play it again.
That's true. You're right on that one.
Woo. Lots of exciting cards.
What a doozy!
What a doozy!
But yeah, this was the last card, the last one. Yeah, so that concludes the reveal campaign for Harvest of Sorrow, the last drop for Price of Power. So we're done with those. Thank you all to you for the reveal campaign, and to the partners, our trusty partners, who are revealing all these things. So you guys did an awesome collaboration on that.
I would shed a small tear if it wasn't for the expansion actually dropping tomorrow. So I'm very excited, actually.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of what we talked in the beginning, very, very well spoken by me. We will be now moving on to the segment where Jean and Ryan go over the changes coming with this update 9.4, if I remember the number correctly.
9.4 coming tomorrow, and trust me, you don't want to miss this.
Exactly.
If you are talking about Gwent, if you're ever in the community where you exchange words about this game, then you will be interested in these changes. And well, I'll see you later. Don't go too far.
I'll be back.
You'll be back.
Yes.
But for now, let's invite Jean.
Jean!
Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for being with me here, Ryan.
So, we got you here today because we want to talk about the changes coming in the next update. Tomorrow, actually, in fact. And there are a lot of small, I'd say, provision and power changes, adjustments to get some underused cards into the meta maybe. But there are specifically 3 big changes that we want to highlight and that the community has been talking about a lot. Maybe not about the changes, but about potential changes. And then we've got one more keyword change that Jean is a specialist here. So I think we can dive right into the first one. And without further ado, the Alchemist.
Yes, Alchemist. A lot of talk of Alchemist. We decided that Alchemist, the problem behind Alchemist was the way it could be played as tempo through Gore, the Nilfgaardian location. It wasn't really played in decks all that much, but a lot of players would run that location, and it was an option that would sometimes get picked, and it's low cost, right? Low risk, but it could have a big impact on the game.
Oh yes.
Still, we like that effect and we wanted to stay present in the game. So what we decided to do is swap out Alchemist and Spotter, another NG card. So what we did is that the old Alchemist effect, as well as power and provision, have been put on Spotter instead. And the old Spotter effect and power and provision have been moved to Alchemist. And in the process, we've increased the power to go from 1 to 2.
Okay, so the new Alchemist will have the old Spotter effect, buffing by a card in your opponent's deck.
Yes.
But also from the start will have 2 points instead of 1 power, right? Which I guess makes you either commit to running the Alchemist effect now on Spotter, or you will have to not have the chance in your deck to do this potentially swingy effect anymore. So I think it's a nice change. It still leaves room for people that want to have this high energy or high, I guess, excitement effect in their deck, which is maybe not as competitive as you want to have your fully efficient, 100% maxed out decks for your pro ladder or for tournaments. But okay, that's an interesting approach. All right, so we got another card that people have been talking about. Which one do you want to tackle first?
I guess the one people are less expecting to see.
Okay.
So Gore.
Ooh, Harald Gore, our favorite dwarf from Squirtel and Syndicate. It is a dual faction card, obviously. So what did we do with that?
So we've decided that we would cap the amount of boost that Gore could get to 12. So the maximum value you can get from the card is 15.
So why 12 exactly?
We decided 12 because with the 13 units limit that needs to be in your deck, 12 is kind of the maximum amount of special that you can technically run. Of course, our favorite faction, Squirtel, has been playing a lot more special than this. And this is the reason we're actually addressing the card in the first place. With Price of Power, the amount of special that Squirtel is expected to be able to play has increased dramatically. And we didn't want Gore to become a card that was mandatory to play for Squirtel because of the number of specials that we were playing. And we also wanted the card to stay relevant for Syndicate, which doesn't have that explosiveness that Squirtel currently has in terms of specials, right?
Yeah, and you would kind of take that away if you would increase the provisions, lower the power in that sense, which would make it worse for Syndicate. And here we found a way to perhaps keep it valid for both factions. I mean, 15 points for 7 provision is still a damn good card for Squirtel, but it just won't reach the 25 points maybe that some people have seen on Reddit.
Exactly.
All right, I like it. One more change, and I think people also wanted us to talk about this card specifically, is the infamous, the famous, the loved or hated Tunnel Drill.
Yeah.
Can't believe that this card came from a card that actually removed artifacts, which also was a big talking point in the past, but now it is known for wiping your opponent's board in 1 turn. So how exactly did we address this card? What is the new effect or ability?
So the challenge to drill, we removed the the Chron Splitter effect, which would increase the damage that you were dealing.
So now you can just play it and it's as good?
Not exactly.
Okay.
So instead of that limit on it, we have added a limit, which is that by default, the card is going to deal 1 damage.
So as before,
And-
without any additional requirements, 1 damage per 2 coins, which is pretty bad, right?
Yeah, it's not great. But if you've played a crime during this turn, then you're going to deal 3 damage instead of 1. So that big difference is that you're not going to be able to get those 3 damage on the turn that you play Tunnel Drill, because at the moment, there is no way to play a crime on the same turn.
And we want to keep it that way for now, right?
Yes. So what motivated us to do this change is that we didn't want a drill to be a finisher, and we also wanted to give players more agency toward answering it before it can pop off. Still, we wanted to preserve the explosiveness and all the potential that the card could have if it was not inserted.
All right, I think that is a very interesting approach. I mean, we talked a lot about this card. We talked a lot about all 3 cards that we've addressed now in lengthy discussions inside the team, obviously, because there are a lot of different approaches, as you, the players, obviously know. There's a lot of ideas floating around the player space as well, on how to change cards, on which way the game should develop. And especially with Tunnel Drill, I think I like the idea that you need to plan ahead a bit more, and also you cannot just drop it, wipe the enemy board without them having any kind of agency about it. Obviously, if they let you place it and don't do anything about it, maybe you had a defender down before as well, there are ways to maybe make it difficult for your opponent to deal with a Tunnel Drill, but that feels more like it's a fair interaction between 2 players. So yeah, and it's still, I mean, you can still deal 3 damage for 2 crowns, which in the end is a big point creation.
Yeah.
And also, if you play a crime that maybe puts a bounty on an enemy unit and then destroy it, you can still do a lot of damage in 1 turn specifically.
Get the ball rolling.
Yeah, but you still have to wait a turn after you played Tunnel Drill. So interesting change, I like it. Also the crown splitter requirement didn't feel too impactful in the end. It was, at least in my opinion, rather easy to set up. So now it's a bit more thinking ahead as well, because it does make your hand maybe perhaps a bit awkward if you want to maybe use it multiple times and not just in 1 turn.
Absolutely.
You want to keep using it, so you have to keep crimes in your hand, and there's not many, I guess, finisher crimes that you want to keep in your hand. Maybe it introduces a few more gold crimes coming back into the meta, like what's it called? Clashing of the Hands, the bar brawl.
Oh, brawl, yeah, tavern brawl.
Tavern brawl,
isn't
right?
it?
I think it's a crime,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Oh my god, we're terrible at this.
I'm pretty sure it's a crime. But anyways, those are the 3 cards that we've addressed in this patch specifically. There are a lot of other balance changes in the patch as well, mostly minor provision and power tweaks. But there is one more thing that we want to talk about, and that is a keyword that has been changed. And this change might not be visible or a huge change to all players out there, maybe a bit more specifically to the Nilfgaard player base, but for us it is a big change because it allows us to address cards or create new effects and also have the game be more streamlined in easiness to understand as well.
Yes.
So why don't you go ahead and explain what we did, because you're the right person to do it, because you implemented the change as well.
Yeah, really my pleasure. So I gotta start with the basics, which is that the spying keyword used to have a bit of a fuzzy tooltip. And basically what it was hiding was a mechanic where if you were spawning a card on your open side of the board, or playing a card on your open side of the board through disloyal units, for instance, then that card would gain spying. And you didn't, like, nothing was really telling you that it was happening. Another way this mechanic worked was if a card moved from one side to another, through seas, for instance, then the card would gain spying if it didn't have it. And if it already had spying, then it would lose spying.
So kind of like a spy coming back to its own faction,
Yes.
or the opposite, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So what we decided is that we removed that hidden mechanic, and instead we wanted to make it explicit and build it inside keywords or directly inside card effects. So for instance, the disloyal keyword has been changed so that it will mention that disloyal cards were getting spying on deploy. We also touched, by the way, this change to disloyal doesn't actually have any effect on the gameplay. The card still is going to react the exact same way. On seize, however, we've mentioned that the card would gain spying before getting seized. And the big change there is that seizing an enemy unit will now trigger your Thirsty Dame, your Seditious Aristocrat, your Fan Turncoat. And it didn't used to work that way, because some of you might remember that if you were to seize an enemy unit, it would gain spying after moving, which means that your opponent's Thirsty Dame was reacting to this. So yeah, with that change, we want seize to be some kind of support for the spying archetype in Nilfgaard.
Yeah, so like in the past, same thing went for Artau Terra Nova, which was a very interesting card, which then caused a lot of problems because this interaction was rather unclear, and also, as you said, sometimes your opponent sees the card and suddenly you could play it with Artau Terra Nova because the card was giving spying to itself in a way, and now it's a bit more actually untangled, made clear, and cards that will gain spying will actually either say it in their own tooltip, or they will gain it because of, as you said, the seizing effect actually giving it spying and then pulling it back for it.
Exactly, and it seems like a good time to say that now Artau Terra Nova should work as we intended with Seize, which is very happy news.
Perfect. And there are a few cards, I think, where you still mentioned it in the tooltip specifically, like
yes,
Count Caldwell, for example.
Yes, Count Caldwell. We really liked the fact that the card was gaining spying and losing it when it was changing side, betraying you and then betraying your opponent. So we decided to modify the tooltip of the card to mention directly that effect. Another example is Usurper. Now we have to mention that Usurper is actually going to give spying to the operative that spawns on your opponent board. And there are a few other cards which used to interact with that hidden mechanic, where we just decided that it wouldn't apply spying anymore. So Operator, the card that you spawned on your opponent's side used to gain spying, this won't be the case anymore. And one of the options for Shoop Mage used to have an effect close to Seize, which would apply spying, and it doesn't anymore.
Okay. Well, I think that is a very good change to make it a lot more clear for players, even if you're an old player, a new player, it doesn't matter, because new cards coming out and interacting with this keyword make it, I guess, now a lot easier to understand these cards and understand the mechanics between them as well. And as you said, in the past, it felt like something that was left in the game in a state where we wanted to make more out of it. We intentionally created cards where they could apply the spying status themselves, and it became a whole archetype as well. So if this was a bit too technical or a bit too all over the place, we will publish an article as well, and you can read on about this change in the patch notes, which are coming out today as well. And yeah, I think Jean already wrote down a very lengthy explanation about this change, and we plan to publish that as well, because I think it's a very nice insight on how we work regarding these changes. And yeah, thank you so much for taking the time and explaining it to everyone, also to me, multiple times, because yeah, we had lengthy discussions about Artau Terra Nova and why things work and why things don't work. But in the end, I think we're very happy about how it turned out now. And yeah, do you have anything else to say, to mention?
That's all for me. Thanks for having me.
All right, well, now let's throw it over to Borja and Vlad, and they're gonna talk some very interesting topics as well. So without further ado.
And just like that, we're back in the studio here with Vlad. Vlad, welcome back.
Hi, it's great to be here.
It's awesome to have you. So as you guys know, we are nearing the last drop, Harvest of Sorrow, Price of Power. Everything is going to be ending with this one. And you guys saw the last reveals. you saw the balance changes, and we are here to talk about the future of Gwent when it comes to this year up till December, and Vlad has joined me here. So like I said, we had the final installment coming out right now, tomorrow. What did we learn from this? Like, what are we taking from this?
Exactly, very, very exciting time. Personally, very excited about Harvest of Sorrow finally getting into the game. I'm very excited to try some of the new cards.
Oh,
I
yes,
think
me too.
Reveal campaign was very exciting, and really this is a very nice way to conclude Price of Power set with this Harvest of Sorrow expansion. But as you said, definitely we learned some things along the way. Just a quick reminder, we did it for the first time with this content delivery strategy, with expansion dropping every second month, which I think was great from many angles, especially from generating all these crazy excitements and having this leak of clock, time of season every second month. It's pretty amazing. Not everything went exactly according to the plan. I think we should be open and frank about these issues, which we also noticed and which you guys shared with us. Thanks for all the feedback, which is keep on coming.
Yes.
One issue with this approach maybe is that some of the ideas from our designers, our awesome design team, they were not super obvious with the first drop, and basically we had to wait for the full picture to unfold.
To see the whole thing. The
Yeah,
full picture,
and
right?
yeah, like some of these releases which are happening in the first half of this expansion release cycle might be a bit difficult to understand
Yes.
in this case.
Especially in the beginning with the first drop, right?
Yeah. When the set is not yet complete. At the same time, it also can lead to some weird spikes in faction performance when like they're not evenly balanced, and some cards are just getting to the top of the meta reports maybe unexpectedly. And only later that it will be balanced out by further releases and whatnot. So this is also not super optimum. There is another thing with we always want new cards to be super exciting to play. Like what's the meaning of releasing them otherwise?
You need to craft them instantly and play them, right?
Right. Sometimes it still can lead to widening the gap between cards which are already in the game. You know, something which usually called power creep.
Yeah.
It's not like every single case of powerful card being released automatically means that some other card which already in the game is power crap, but we do aware that this is a real concern, and with the number of cards in Gwent constantly growing, we should be careful about that. We are aware of that. Finally, releasing new cards every second month can be a bit challenging from the perspective of just the design team time, their availability for additional balance changes, for things like reworks. So it might be a little bit
Demanding on the
Yeah.
production front. Yeah.
Exactly.
Totally agreed here.
So, like, what we're going to do about all that? Yeah.
So what's the plan? If we take all these things into consideration, like what's the next step?
Right. So first of all, if you remember from our very early roadmap where we're sharing in the beginning of the year, we were planning to release the first part of next set, so first expansion already in December.
Yes.
But after reviewing how everything went with Price of Power, after analyzing all these learnings which I mentioned, we decided not to do this, not to rush with it, and instead focusing on something else, just not to leave you guys hanging, you know, not to leave you with exciting new content in December.
There has to be something on the Christmas tree, right? There
Right,
has to be
always.
like at least a present for the community. So what are we gonna do?
So we're planning to release 12 new cards. Maybe new is an interesting word here, because some of these cards are arts on these cards might look familiar. I believe we actually have something.
We have a leak.
Yeah?
We can actually show it right now. Yeah.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
Maybe
So-
that will give a hint of what other cards in this mini expansion might
Surprise, surprise! Ratty Daddy is here, back again. So expect more cards like this one, and this is similar to something that we did not long ago, because
In March.
we also in March we introduced same thing. There was, I think, around 12 cards also at the
Exactly.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, I think in general, like the strategy which we tried this year with this occasional card drops, 12 cards in March, and also there were a few instances, like Sunset Wanderers, for example, or Madoc. This is a very cool way to spice up the meta without, having a huge addition of new cards. So
And it's really cool because, like you mentioned, they influence the meta. They introduce something new, but they do not change everything, and they're not that big of a change when you compare it to releasing something from expansion. Especially when you're splitting the expansion into 3 things, like you mentioned before. If you're doing something, you're starting something, and you don't see the full picture, you're kind of lost. And here you just get something which fits what's currently in the game.
Exactly. This limited scope of release also allows our team to focus more on testing and understanding how this particular addition to the game would affect the meta, what it would mean for older archetypes. If you remember March card drop, which introduced these old leader cards, it was maybe 99% focused on giving second chances to unplayed archetypes. This is exactly what we're trying to achieve with December drop as well, so don't expect any crazy new mechanics there, but instead we want to give more diversity to the meta.
And reinforcing existing or archetypes that don't see much play, if I understand correctly. Okay.
Yes, exactly this. So you can guess maybe for yourself which archetypes would deserve such reinforcements, and we're very excited to see how it actually would improve the meta and make it more healthy towards the end of the year.
Nice, that's really cool.
It's maybe important to mention that we're not planning to stop at this, obviously. Like this approach of focusing more on unplayed archetypes, cards which might deserve a little bit of a boost, and obviously just tuning in provisions or balancing numbers here and there is not the only tool in our designer's toolbox. Like actually new added cards to the game can also achieve a similar purpose by introducing some strong synergies and somehow reinvigorating these old forgotten almost archetypes back into the game and back into the meta. So one other thing which I wanted to bring is some of the concerns which we're hearing, some of the feedback which we're hearing from you guys about the current state of the game and state of the balance. I think balance is a very tricky subject, right?
Yeah.
Balance
it's hard to
card
achieve perfect balance in any card game, right?
Yeah, I would argue even that maybe achieving perfect balance is not a good thing because some of the variants which existing are serving its purpose, but more importantly, balance is not the final destination.
Yes.
Fun is.
Fun is, yeah.
And
I mean, you need to have fun while you're playing the game. That's the
most important thing.
Yeah.
That's why people are playing the game. It's not because they're playing it's perfectly balanced, so try it out. It's more about, okay, this game gives really nice emotions and my impressions are not ruined by something being drastically unbalanced. So it's still important, but please remember when you're leaving us feedback on forums or on Reddit or on social networks that it's not always exclusively about it. Our ultimate goal for you guys to have fun with the game. That's where
simply enjoy it, right?
Exactly. That's where our design philosophy lies, and that's what we're also will be doing next year.
Awesome.
Speaking of which, next year plans, you can expect like the proper communication about the schedule and the cadence of the releases and things like that.
AKA
closer
roadmap.
to roadmap.
Closer to the beginning of the year.
Yes, closer to the end of this year, beginning of the next year. As always, this time of the year is usually when people are getting restless in the community. Like, where's the roadmap? We want to know what's next.
So we're jumping ahead and letting you know that it's actually going to happen, and expect the end of this year, beginning of next year. So take it easy. We'll be back with more information easily.
Exactly. That's the plan. So please keep your feedback coming, guys. We are always very interested in this, and thanks to everyone who provides constructive criticism. Huge shout out to Lionheart for doing this survey.
Yeah, this was a really good one.
Very helpful.
Very insightful, and also helped us a lot. So thank you for doing that.
That's pretty much it from my side.
And if you have any suggestions or ideas what this Radovid reveal might mean, or what his ability might be, feel free to leave it anywhere you want. Reddit, forums, Twitter, Facebook, whatever you want. Vlad, always a pleasure. Thank you for dropping in. I think we will see you also probably in the video that we'll be doing for the roadmap, most likely. I have a hunch about that. But that's it from us today. And let's go back to me and Ryan for the outro.
And there we are again.
We're
Boja.
back. Well, we have a plus one. We have Geralt the dog here with me.
Geralt the dog, how cute is he?
Yeah, he's still a pup.
I think it's a very cheap shot, you know, but I think it works.
Gotta have something really cool for the outro.
It does work very well. I mean, I'm maybe not 100% a dog person, but how can you not love this beautiful little dog?
He is quite a cutie. All right, Ryan, we are done. We are done. Is there any final things that we need to cover before we sign off?
So just a few reminders coming in at the end of this video. We've got new expansion trees coming into your reward books tomorrow.
Nice.
No spoilers what they are about, but I'm excited for those to spend some of your keys. And also, we've got obviously expansion products swapping, so we've got Price of Power kegs coming in the shop tomorrow.
Coming in hot.
Very
and don't
hot.
Remember, Way of the Witcher kegs are going out the shop.
Yes, they're leaving, but the Price of Power kegs, they're going to be still, you know, very hot, right out of the oven. And if you want to get those expansion cards, you can smash those kegs with Shoop.
They have cards for all 3 drops. So starting with the first one, Once Upon a Pyre, then Thanet Coup, and then Harvest of Sorrow.
Yes.
Everything's in there. That's incredible.
All of it. Also, the expansion products will remain in the shop for a while, so you can still get the expansion pass. If you now feel like, okay, I've seen all the cards, now I can make a decision, you can still do that. But other than that, we've learned a lot about the update tomorrow, about what we're going to see at the end of the year. I'm excited.
I'm really excited.
And,
Releases tomorrow. That's
yeah.
what I'm waiting
You know
the most
what?
for.
I think I'll just go to bed right now. So if I wake up, then it's tomorrow already, and then I can play the expansion.
Easy. I'm going to do the same. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you to Vlad and Jean for joining us here in the studio. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you soon. Bye.